Good afternoon, masterminds. Good afternoon. Welcome again to another edition of the Real Masterminds. For the past 2 days, I have been doing videos on police officers. I started with the unlawfully dismissed members. Yesterday, I did the reservist, and today I'm with a group of police trainees. Now I'm going to give you a background about these police trainees. Before the lockdown in 2020, they were supposed to go to college, to the police basic training. They have passed all the stages, required stages. They were ready to leave for college, and then lockdown happened. So the whole process was put on hold. And in 2021, the process was started again. So they were supposed to then, there was a date set, and all of them who was on the list were supposed to go to basic training. But that didn't happen. Instead, large amounts of money were paid. Their places, they were replaced by people who never went through the normal stages. And yeah, it's now 4 years later. Yes, it's 4 years later, and they were replaced by people who have money. Corruption happened. I did report this to IPID in 2023. There was an investigation by IPID, in fact, whereby they found that these trainees' files were taken and it was used for the ones who paid bribes. IPID did the investigation, and they found a group of trainees which told them, what were already at the college at the time, and those ones told them that they never went through the stages, through the requested stages, up until where you completed everything and where you were ready to leave for college. IPID made a recommendation to the South African Police Services that these trainees, all of them are employees of SAPS because they signed employment contracts, and they should be taken to college. But that never happened. Instead, the investigation was terminated, and both the IPID investigators resigned. And I'm still in contact with one of them, Mr. Parman, and I asked him, actually, what happened? And he told me, say, you know what? There were, remember, there were 3 Swazi nationals who used false identifications, stolen identifications. They were also part of those who were at a college. Actually, they passed out from college in 2022. And then they were deployed to Nelspruit, Three Brothers. And the information was positive, and IPID was on their way on Friday to go and arrest these 3 undocumented nationals who are using stolen IDs. And the day before they went, they were recalled. They were recalled, and they were told that they must drop the entire investigation and they must go back. There's someone whose mic is on. Can you please turn off your mic, because it's causing, it's interrupting the session. And he told me that he really don't want to be part of this corruption anymore. He and his colleague, and both of them resigned with immediate effect. So the person with a baby, can you please turn off your mic? You are interrupting the session. Just turn off. You can see all other people, the mics are turned off. It shows red. Can you just also turn yours off, because you are really interrupting the session? Can you please turn off your mic? Okay. So I have them here. They are stuck. They have personal numbers. They are working. Can you please also turn off your video? You will turn your video on when you speak. Please do that for me, because thank you so much. They are here now. They are coming to tell their story because their lives are stuck. They can't find a job. Some of them were told they are now 35 years old. They are too old. And they cannot apply for social grants. They cannot apply for NSFAS. Their lives are stuck, and the South African Police Service is actually just ignoring these employees with which they signed in. All of them have the employment contracts. They signed employment contracts with SAPS. So we are also going to challenge this at court, because you cannot just sign an employment contract with someone and then decide to ignore this person. So I'm going to ask them to raise their hands, and I'm going to ask them to come and tell us what are the challenges since they have been left out of, and they have been left out in the cold, and they don't even have a future now, because the prospects of getting a job anywhere else is there's no prospects at all. They've been trying, they can't study, they can't get jobs, they can't get grants, their lives are stuck. In these are young people. What must they do for the rest of their lives? So I'm going to ask anyone to raise your hand, or the first person to unmute himself and then come in. Turn on your video and please come and tell us your story. Anyone, please? If you want to raise your, yes, Wendy, you can come in. You can come in, Wendy. You can turn on your video and unmute yourself. Then you can start telling your story. Hey, Wendy. While we are waiting for Wendy, I think he or she might have a struggle to come in. Yes, there you are. Unmute yourself. Turn on your mic. Can you now turn on your mic, Wendy? You are still muted. You are still muted. Can you turn on your mic? Turn on your mic. You are still muted.
Hello?
There you go. Can you, Wendy, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
Can you please introduce yourself and tell our viewers your story?
Okay. My full name is Lisa Nawande.
Your sound, we can't hear you properly. There's a, yeah.
Is it okay now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, guys. I go by the name of Tulisa Lisa Mawande Beja. Most people call me Wandi. Just to cut the story short, I also went through the recruitment process under SAPS, and after the whole COVID pandemic, the recruitment process went back on track. Unfortunately, I did not go to the academy to be trained, and it's been really difficult for me. As a result, I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder and anxiety because I felt like this opportunity would actually help me and my family. I come from an underprivileged background, and I had high hopes that I was going to make it to the academy, of which that did not happen. There was a time where I went to the Department of Labor to inquire about my UIF because I had left my previous job. And when I got there, I was told I've got a personal number. So what am I here to do? And it's been very, very difficult after that. It's quite sad at the fact that there are people that went to that did not get all these processes and assessments done, whereas people like me who went through all the stages and assessments were never called. So it's been a really tough journey.
There you hear from yourself, viewers, Real Masterminds, young people whose futures are literally destroyed. They even get sick. And South African police services simply just don't care. I have even reported this matter to the Portfolio Committee on Police, but the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Police is also ignoring us. It's months. I think in the beginning of this year that I've sent a formal complaint to the office of the Portfolio Committee on Police, but I've never seen him raising this matter to the portfolio to say this is the challenges that young people have out there. SAPS have destroyed their lives, and currently now SAPS are just quiet. They are ignoring them. Thank you so much, Wani, for your story. You know the way I'm feeling, né? It's better when someone come out and they tell the story themselves, because I cannot relate it the way you can relate it yourself. So thank you very much for telling the world what you are going through and that you have a bleak future in front of you. In fact, not a bleak future. You don't have a future because of a personal number. Thank you very much. The next person can come in. And please come and also tell us your story. One day you can turn your video off. You can switch off your video.
Okay, there you go.
Anyone else? So you can see, people don't know these things. People don't know the real South African police service and the corruption that is happening in the South African police service. Only we know, we have seen these things, we have reported these things, but the people in charge who are supposed to deal with these matters are also ignoring it. As I said, I have proved that I submitted complaints to the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Police, and up to today, he has not raised these issues in the Portfolio Committee. He has not made the other members of the Portfolio Committee aware of what these young people are facing, same as the unlawful dismissed members, same as the reservists. It's a nightmare. People's lives are being destroyed by the South African Police Service, and everyone is just silent. Can anyone else come to the front and just come and tell us your story? Anyone else? Andiswa, Andisiwe, Silimo, Mpo, Frank, Tabo. Can any one of you just unmute yourself, turn on your video, and please come and tell us your story? Is anyone there? Can you hear me, guys? If you can hear me, just indicate what the thumbs up that you can hear me, because I'm not sure whether you can hear me because no one is saying anything. Time is running out. We don't have all day, people. Can you please now come to the front and just tell South Africans the challenges that you are facing? Like Wendy said, that she even now has major depression. She's not coming from a privileged family. She thought that when she received that call up letter to say now you must go to college, she thought that she will be the breadwinner. She will be the one who are going to take care of her family. But all her dreams were just shattered in a moment because she didn't have 6,000 or 10,000 of however to pay for a space in the South African Police Service. Anyone else who wants to tell the story, or am I going to talk alone here? Guys, can you please just come in and tell your stories? I don't understand. You are not saying anything. I don't know whether you can hear me or not. But if you can hear me, come forward, unmute yourself, switch on your video, and come and tell your story, please. Okay, I can see from Andiswa. Andiswa is struggling to switch and mute himself. If you unmute yourself, Andisa, Tapelo's phone microphone is damaged. Anyone else? There's Andisa. Okay, can you come in, Andisa? And
Yes,
Siwe,
good
sorry,
evening.
I'm not pronouncing your name in the correct manner. Can you please introduce yourself, dear?
Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Hello, Miss Pat. My name is Andisiwe Onono.
Mhm.
So I was in this recruitment.
And you see where your screen is frozen? I don't know what's happening. Frank, can you maybe come in? It seems there's a problem with Andy Siwe. Andy Siwe, can you go out? Then you come in again. It seems like your screen, you have a network connection problem. Okay, Frank. Yeah. Frank, can you please come in and tell us your story? Just introduce yourself and tell the viewers what you have been going
can you see me, sister?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yes, my name is Frank Tumel. I'm from Virginia. Yes, I went through the process.
You from where?
Virginia.
Okay.
Virginia, Free State.
Okay.
Yes, I went through the process, but the problem is that I was told to send the proof of residential address. So I did for medical. So after that, they will take me to medical. So I haven't heard anything from the SAPS. Then I tried to make an inquiry. So there's nothing happened until I met the marshals. So that's why I'm trying to cover now to hear anything from the marshal. Then I haven't heard anything from the SAPS.
What are your
So
challenges?
we went through all. I sister almost had another attack. Even if I don't know what was the real problem with the SAPS, but that attack was almost there. And I was stressed because I had a family to feed on. Then I didn't have another income.
Currently, you are unemployed. You can apply for another job. You can apply for grants. You can apply for RDP. You cannot even go and study further because you don't qualify for NESTA. You are employee of the South African Police Service.
Nothing. I can't.
Tell me your family.
Because of the CPS.
What are your family saying about this?
They have a stress, but they also having a stress because I've been telling them about this SAPS thing, so they told me this thing will kill me one day because they are also stressed.
Because I know there's a mother who was so broken, her daughter committed suicide because of this. A daughter.
Yes, but even
could not just take it anymore. She committed suicide.
Yes, but even if I tried to explain to some other people, like I had to travel from Free State to Mpumalanga because I applied in Mpumalanga, yet I was in Free State. So I had to travel every time to do anything, like psychometric test, physical interview. I had to travel. I had to use my money, and I don't have money. I had to borrow some money from other people, and my family had to borrow money for me to do the process.
Oh.
But yet at the end of the day, nothing come out, nothing from CPS.
They just went quiet on you.
Yes.
So, people, you can hear from yourself what our youth are going through. These are young people. What must happen to them? What must happen to their families when SAPS have spitted them out like this and forgot about them? What must happen to them? Must they be turned in? Must they turn to crime to survive? They tried to get a job. And indeed, they did get a job because they signed employment contracts. But they are employees who are in the system of SAPS without jobs. Their personal numbers is there in the system of SAPS who are getting the salaries that are linked to these personal numbers, because some of them even called me and say they get SMSs to say there was a salary increment. They get SMSs to say you applied for this and this, and they get SMSs meaning that the salary is active on the system. Just for the mere fact that Wandi went to Department of Labor, and Department of Labor told her on the system, but what do you want? We cannot give you money because you are employed. So what must happen to these youngsters? What must they do? What must they do for them to get what is theirs? Because that is their jobs. They sign up with SAPS. They have their employment contracts. They have it. Thank you so much, Frank. Let me take someone else. Andisiwe, is it possible for you to come in again? Okay, there you are.
Yes, hello, Sister.
Yeah, hello, Andisiwe.
Oh, thanks for having me back. As I was saying, when the recruitment process was back again, so I went there and then they said we must wait for the medicals. So I went for medicals and then I came back and then I was waiting for the call-up. And then while on waiting, we had a WhatsApp group. Most others were talking that we are going to college and all of that. So now I was worried that no, the date that we were supposed to go has passed on. So I went to inquire there at the recruitment office, and I was told no, I must wait. I'll be on the second batch because the colleges are full now. They were still placing people who are going outside. So the people within my province are still gonna be placed. So I came back with that hope. After waiting, I received an email saying that they have found an abnormality on my eyes on the day of the assessment, of the medical assessment. So I must contact an optometrist. So I went to the optometrist, and the optometrist did my eyes, and nothing was wrong with my eyes. And then I was asking the optometrist that, are you sure that I can see properly and there's nothing wrong with my eyes? And the doctor confirmed that from NeoVision, if I can mention that. And then the doctor confirmed that there was absolutely nothing wrong with my eyes. And then I sent that report back from the doctor. I sent it to the recruitment office. And then I received the feedback saying that they got it. Okay. And then I waited. I kept waiting. And then when I went to require, they said, no, they're going to call us on June. We will leave in June. I said, because all the colleges were full. And then I waited again. On June, I went to inquire again. And then they said, no, you must still wait. We're still going to call you. We're still busy with the process. And I heard people were leaving in June. Okay. And then again, I sent a message to where we did our medicals. And then I received a feedback that they have files in the archives and what. So I must wait for 8 weeks in order for them to come back to me. Okay. And then I waited, but before that 8 weeks ended, they sent me an email saying that I was unfit on the day of the medical due to medical condition. And I was asking, which medical condition? Because at first you said, Musa, I have problems with my eyes. I went to the optometrist and you said I must send the report back to you. I did send the report back to you. And as far as I know, I also know that I don't have any problem with my eyes. So which other condition that you are telling me now? Because on the day of the medical, nothing was discovered with me. I'm healthy. I know I don't have any problem. So what is it that you are talking about? And then they said, no, what you must do, you must wait because you must go to your recruitment office, because now I'm talking to the people who did the medical most. So now they said you must go to the recruitment office, SEPS is the one who has the final saying in all this. I said, okay, let me go to SEPS. I then went to SEPS. All the captains which were there, they said, no, but on the system, it says you are medically unfit due to chronic medical condition. And I was asking, what chronic medication is that? What chronic condition is that? Because at first you said I have problems with my eyes, and now it's chronic. What chronic is that? That is preventing me from going to college. What chronic is that? That never prevented me when I was doing all the fitness, all the stuff. And on the day of the medical assessment, nothing was discovered. So what did you later find out? What later did you make up to? And then the captain who was assisting me said that no, it's beyond their control. Maybe I must make an appeal to the department, but they have nothing to say. Okay, I said, no, I can't make any appeal. You are the one who must do. You are the recruitment office. It's up to you to decide, because it says here on the email, you have the final say. The people who are doing the medicals don't know anything, because you are saying that saying I don't meet the SEPS criteria. So you are the one who knows which criteria you want. So it's you who must answer. Which criteria do you want? Because as far as I know, I have nothing wrong with myself. Okay, and then I waited, and then I took the number on them. You see, most when they did the medical, when they sent me that report of the medical, there's a doctor's stamp there at the bottom. So I took that number and phoned that doctor, and then the doctor answered. I was asking, doctor, I have this problem. I did the medicals, and now at first they said I have problems with my eyes, and the doctor, I must consult an optometrist, and the doctor which I consulted said there's absolutely nothing wrong with my eyes. So now I'm confused. I'm receiving another email. This email is saying now I have a chronic medical condition which is preventing me from going to the college. So can you clarify this for me, just to put me at ease, so that I can find closure? And the doctor said, I'm no longer working with that company which was doing medicals for SEPS, because they were using my names. They were sending applicants messages that they are suffering from this, and now I had to account on that. So I'm no longer working there. When I tried to ask the doctor for a follow-up, was like, what do you mean, and all of that, and the doctor said, no, I can't give you any more information. That's all I can say, that they have been using my name without my permission. So I stopped working for that company, because they are diagnosing the applicants with something that I don't know. And I was like, what? So that was my hope, to go to the college. And the captain there, the recruitment office, kept on saying that maybe you can apply again because you are still young. And I was like, how can I apply again
when you already
when
have
I
a
don't know?
number?
Exactly.
You already have a
because
number. So how do you apply again?
Exactly. And then when we went to sign the contract, my name was there with my personal number, and they said I must come with my beneficiary things. I came with them, so I was only waiting for a call to go to college. And then I thought, okay, let me apply for an internship they advertised. And then on the internship, they said, no, I cannot qualify for that internship because I'm working. I was like, how? I never worked most. They said, they can see on the system I have a personal number. And I said, when I tried to explain to them, they said, no, we can't assist you because it seems as if you once participated, it's either on the internship or you are employed, something like that.
So how do you feel about that? What was your life after that?
It was very bad, sister. It was very, very, very bad. I was crying day and night, hoping that they will call me or at least put me at ease, explain what is this chronic condition. Because now it's pointless for me to say, okay, let me apply again, because I know I'm going to pass the integrity test. I know I'm going to pass the psychometric test. I know I'm going to pass the physical assessment. But I don't know what what about the medical? I don't know. So I just wanted that closure, that at least they can explain to me what is wrong, of which they are not explaining, because there's absolutely nothing with myself wrong with myself.
When you apply
I
for
feel
other
really
jobs, when you apply for other jobs like the internship, it shows on the system that you are employed.
yes.
You cannot
I
apply.
was really surprised. Oh, and then I was working for another company. And just like Wendy was saying, I went to the UIF office to claim for my UIF. And when I was there, the lady was asking, are you claiming for SEPS, or are you claiming for where you were working now? And I said, for SEPS. What SEPS? And then the lady was interested in finding out, why did I leave working for SEPS? And I was like, huh? And then I had to explain the story to the lady that no, I'm not claiming for SEPS. I never worked for SEPS. This is the story.
So you would even
So
be
it's really
denied
sad.
your own money because of SEPS.
It's really sad. It's really sad. I had to struggle even from there. I had to struggle to get that UIF money, because now they can see that I have an active
You
personal
are
number, which means I'm
employed.
getting paid. I was like,
Wow.
exactly. I was like, no, I'm not working. I never worked for SEPS before, but this is what happened. It's really bad. It's really bad. SEPS has made my life an upside down.
And like everyone else, your future is just being destroyed. You don't have a future. You are done with, because you cannot do anything. You are stuck with a personal number. You are employed, but you don't have you are sitting at home every day. Your personal number is linked to a salary, but you don't know who is receiving your salary.
Yo, it's really sad.
We are fighting. As I said, we are going to fight this up to the courts. You are employed. As I said, you are employed and you will get your jobs, whether they like it or not. Thank you so much for telling your story to South Africa, to the world, so that the world can see exactly. Corruption is so deep-rooted in the South African police service. And then they gave statistics to Parliament to say that this is the number of employees that we have in the South African police service, but it's not physical employees. They have personal numbers. They only have personal numbers. The owners of the personal numbers are sitting at home. Thank you so much for your story, dear. If there's anyone else, we are left with 5 minutes. If there's anyone else who want to tell their story, you can come in and tell your story. Just indicate to me if you want to come in. We are left with 5 minutes. And then, yes. Just raise your hand. And if there's no one, then I'm going to end the session in the next 5 minutes. But this is what I wanted to show the South African. This is just a fraction. The people who are here is just a fraction of the people who, because I have them in WhatsApp groups. I have WhatsApp groups of reservists, of unlawfully dismissed members. And yes, Mpo, you can come in the meantime, of unlawfully dismissed members. And I have these youngsters who are employed by South African Police Services, but they are actually not working. I am Mpo, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Mrs. Pet.
I'm
Hi,
fine.
everyone. I'm Paul.
Yes.
I'm
In
Paul
4
Francis.
minutes, can you please tell us your story?
All right, Mrs. Pet. I go by the name Paul Francis Topani. I'm from Christiana in Northwest. So, Mrs. Pet, I've applied for SAPS and went through all the procedures up until medical. We've signed everything. We did everything, but at around January 2019, I mean, the first people were called for the collapse, and then we were left behind. It was a bunch of us. around February the 23rd.
And Paul, you can come in again. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, sister. Around 23rd of February 2019, we got the SMSs for the medical. We went there at Legstop. We filled those employment forms, and we did all the procedure of the medical. And Mr. Mpela himself said we will, after a week, we will get SMSs for the collapse. We've been waiting since. We did our around 2020. It was due to the COVID and everything. A year later, I did a follow up on Facebook page. They told me that I should reapply. I called. I was told that I was in Pretoria for 2 weeks. I don't know when did I go there. I don't even know Pretoria, but I've been to Pretoria. But I told them it's impossible for me to go there because I don't even know the place. I just left because I didn't have any hope again. But since I saw you on Facebook and everything, that's why I've started with the Mashal and everything. And at least I had hope, my anxiety suppressed and so on.
In 2 paragraphs, tell the world how you are feeling and what is your hopes.
Like I felt disappointed to the system because I've even lost hope to become a passionate police officer. That was my dream job, honestly speaking. I lost like every hope, suspect.
Yeah.
I've been crying day and night since throughout that year 2019.
Masterminds, there's Paul. Very same story. She was even in Pretoria without her knowledge. He told her she comes from Pretoria. Well, she was never in Pretoria before. So her personal number have been running up and down. This is the story. I'm going to end the live here. We are not going to leave it like this. We are going to fight for them. They will get what they deserve because those jobs are theirs. Ribo, I'm sorry. We have to end it here because our time is up. We will proceed at another time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Masterminds. Bye. Bye, everyone.